Cry for help and he will come. The devils targeted by chainsaw and the devils who called for help are cut up and killed. Because of what he does, he is marked and killed by many devils. But he revs his engine and arises again and again. Some react to his chaotic exploits with anger. Others run and try to escape. And still others worship him. And there's another reason he is the devil that devils fear the most. The devils that Chainsaw Man eats. Their names are erased from existence. What's the purpose of a chainsaw? It's to cut things, obviously. We watch Genji do that a lot in Chainsaw Man. But what is the true purpose of a chainsaw? The answer in the universe of Chainsaw Man is... we don't know. It was lost because Chainsaw Man ate it. The idea that you can remove an entire concept from the world is really intriguing, and I am making this video to talk about that a little bit, maybe? I'm using my privilege to yell my ideas and opinions about things into the void that is the internet, so please be gentle. Let's recap a few things we know. If the Chainsaw Devil eats a devil, their name gets erased from existence. This includes the past, the present, and even individuals' memories. Makima says she only remembers because she has the power to control everything, but even she starts to forget. So it is possible to hold on to knowledge about things that no longer exist. Yoru also says Chainsaw Man ate her comrades, so she remembers that her comrades have been eaten. We don't know if this was told to her by the control devil, or she also somehow can retain her knowledge. There's also a section on the wiki that says War was partially eaten by Chainsaw, and that's why there's no fear of a war. Maybe it refers to her comrades because we know nuclear weapons have been eaten and she could have used it as a body part like she did with the tank devil and the gun devil. But this could also be a part of a weird exception thing that I want to talk about later. But knowing Chainsaw manga readers, it could also be just one little sentence in a speech bubble that I missed, and I apologize for that if that is the case. In my mind, this is part of the natural laws of the world of Chainsaw Man. Just like it is a general rule that devils get stronger the more they are feared, and that devils have the ability to propose contracts to humans that both have to fulfill. We assume it is as simple as this. As long as the devil exists, this thing exists and the other way around. If one of the two parts gets erased, somehow, the other would vanish as well. This is a universal rule, and the Chainsaw Devil is somehow able to achieve this complete removal of a devil, and is able to remove the concept with it by a chain effect. How much control the Chainsaw Devil has about this ability is a bit unclear because of the exception I talked about earlier. It is unknown if it really is an exception, but Makima treats it like one, and I will explain it now. In chapter 87, Makima explains that the people she has with her are neither humans, devils, nor fiends, but a secret fourth thing that was eaten by Chainsaw Man without erasing their existence completely. It's unclear if this is still intended or something made during a time where Fujimoto wasn't entirely sure how this ability was going to work. It could be something caused by Makima, since some of these people, if not all, were killed by her, but in this case I would believe her that she doesn't know why these people still exist, if the overarching thing that they are does not. The term weapon humans from the title does not get mentioned in the story, so I doubt that it is the thing she was going for. Maybe that's why people are so confused by the existence of hybrids. I was thinking about this a while, and it could also be that Pochita revived the concept so he could become Denji's heart. My point is that there is either some kind of loophole in the way the erasure works, or Pochita already brought something back for Denji in the beginning of the manga. Also, just to quickly talk about this, I know there's a theory that Pochita and the Chainsaw Devil are not the same devil, and I think that could make sense, but I think both are important to form the Chainsaw Man we see and interact with in the story. It also makes it easier to explain my ideas if we treat Pochita and the Chainsaw as the same entity. That doesn't mean I think it is wrong, I'm just simplifying things for the sake of this video. It is unclear what exactly erasure means or what it includes. At the end of chapter 172, the Chainsaw Devil eats the Ear Devil and ears get erased from existence. Yoru mentions that something disappeared and Katana Man has trouble hearing her. She even touches her head like she remembers where something was supposed to be. In chapter 173, we see a man either yell into a phone or being confused about what he's doing, an elephant without ears, a breaking flip phone, cats without ears, with one looking startled, and a bunch of people in public. All these panels look silent. They lack the typical echoisms, and that gives them a specific feeling of deafness. Then people with headphones in a holding cell get asked by a person who speaks into a microphone to ask about the erased Ear Devil, and if they know the word ear. They have trouble understanding this, and then he speaks into what looks like a walkie-talkie to confirm the erasure of ear. Removing the concept of ear does not remove the concept of hearing in this case. Some people are also able to remember at least the word related to that concept, and or it takes some time to affect memory completely. After an attack from the aging devil, and getting squeezed by the octopus devil, the Chainsaw Devil vomits the Ear Devil into existence again. It is also interesting to note that chapter 173 is called Hard of Hearing, a sentence that is commonly used to describe only partially hearing loss. When people say ear, they mostly think about the outer part, because that is easy to imagine. We see it a lot every day when we see other people or turn our faces in the mirror. It could be that only the outer part is affected. It could also be that things got somehow fixed and now hearing functions completely differently. This becomes a bit less clear when we hop to the ending of the next chapter, chapter 174, when Fumiko Mifune wants to make a phone call, but her mouth is gone. Chainsaw has eaten the mouth, octopus, snow and bitterness devil. Between these two pages is a very interesting panel, a dropped cup with a straw. Unlike with ear and hearing, we have no pages that show people trying to speak in the time that mouth is not existent. Actually, chapter 175 has no indication of any sound at all, not speaking or movement noises or anything. In the next chapter 176 we have at least thoughts written out, also a flashback from before that time, which is either just a flashback for us, or proves that memories get altered later. Then Yoru shoots the mouth devil out of Chainsaw's stomach, which shows us that things can kind of keep existing inside Chainsaw's stomach and are recoverable in other ways than throwing up. But what about the mouths? Or rather the legs thereof? Is there now a new way of eating, or will people just start to starve and have no idea why because they cannot remember how they ate before? And how much mouth is gone? No one mumbles at any time while mouth is erased, so can we assume that mouth also includes stuff like lips, tongue and teeth? But then in chapter 175, the silent chapter, we see people make facial expressions and show mouth lines. So there has to be something behind that, right? Did they keep the muscles to express feelings, to communicate without speaking? To leave more room for ideas and interpretation in this video, we assume that the erasure somehow fixes problems that would cause total extinction. Despite not having a mouth, they would not starve. But why can't Chainsaw erase the names of things? Bob and Bridge talks about how chainsaws hypothetically could have had many uses, but Chainsaw Man erased so many things already that these uses became lost. After talking about this with a friend, they told me this was weird because chainsaws are obviously made for cutting, and another use would be strange. But we forget that many weird things were already erased. Here's a list of things Makima tells us are already erased from existence. Nazis, World War II, nuclear weapons, AIDS, Unalone syndrome, SOA, the eruption of Mount Hio, a sixth sense all humans used to have, a light of a particular star that would break children's minds, and 4 possible conclusions other than death at the end of a living being's lifespan. I will put these things in 2 lists now, things that are real and things that are made up by Fujimoto. There are a few things that are just made up for world building and sound kinda normal, like a specific volcano or a named syndrome. Mount Hio and Alone syndrome are not real. SOA is the short that isn't explained at all, so it might be something that is already nothing more than a name. The sixth sense all humans used to have was probably something on the main level, like taste, smell, hearing, seeing and touching. Then there are things that are just on an extremely large scale, like universally. At one point in this world, the light of a particular star would make children go insane. Children probably could not go out after dark because the light from the sky would make them lose their mind. It's like Weather Report, but instead of snails, it's brain rot. And not to forget, there were at least 4 other things that were considered to be a conclusion to one's life equal to death. We can assume that they are equally as strong or impactful as death, and death is already a huge problem, and the focus of the second part of Chainsaw Man. There are not many examples of such concepts in our world, but there are a few. The religious concept of ascension, for example, is defined as reaching heaven without dying. Through ascension, your life on earth comes to an end, but it isn't considered dying. Then there are things that are arguably alive in a different way, like the Great Ones from Bloodborne. They exist on multiple planes at once, and they keep on existing when their body in one plane ends, and can even influence that plane to some degree. There are lots of things we can't really imagine because they are so far out there and we don't know what was before. We don't know what made that volcano Mount Hio so special that it apparently had its own devil. And there even was a devil for a specific star or the light of a star with properties that made it different from the light of other stars. The point I'm trying to make here is, it could very well be that the Chainsaw Devil could have this ability because of the chainsaws. It doesn't have to be like this, and I think it isn't, but we talk about that later. I just want to widen your imagination a little. My first idea for this was something I kind of moved away from again. It doesn't really make sense for the existence erasure, but I still want to introduce this here to make clear how wild the removal of concepts could get, in my opinion. The 1962 movie Sanjuro is a Japanese period drama that is particularly famous for a malfunctioning blood effect. This has, according to the internet at least, spawned the well-known trope of samurai cutting people faster than they can realize with a huge fountain of blood. Now imagine this in the world of Chainsaw Man. What if there was at some point a natural phenomenon that allowed people to cut in such a way that would result in a cut that erased space, and the sudden removal of this space caused this kind of splatter? I am not talking about raw strength. This is something that gets done a lot in anime and manga by people who have the strength to go with that. I am talking about a specific technique, a way of cutting that circumvents the law of conservation of mass and that destruction of mass caused these huge splatters. This effect that was caused by a specific technique of cutting is a powerful thing, and naturally humans tried to find a way to replicate this effect artificially. They invented a tool that was able to make many fast cuts in a short time. A tool that is the best at achieving this specific effect of being able to erase whatever is in front of the blade. The Chainsaw Devil can use the power of this effect to the max and use it to remove the devil from this world, and then the chain effect happens, the natural law updates and the thing stops existing. So this theory doesn't really work. I couldn't really justify why this would now only work for Chainsaw Man and not all chainsaws. Maybe you could argue that the devils that are alive in his stomach can be allowed to act, so maybe at some point Chainsaw and Special Cut Devil fused, or he just wards them differently and it lives in Chainsaw's stomach. But that still is an explanation why this counts as erasure, not just death or simple entrapment. So I decided this is stupid and I'm dumb and I should just shut up and leave the internet. Or I show you my second theory. My second theory focuses more on the eating aspect, like even more than he has the existential version of a paper shredder inside his guts. But chainsaws are not related to eating, I hear you saying. Well, not anymore, but there must be a reason why we say chainsaws are a cutting tool with teeth. The easiest hint could be the Chainsaw Devil himself. In his weakened form, he resembles a small dog. Devils apparently like to turn into animal forms when weakened, just like the War Devil did with the bird, but I think there's more to Chainsaw's dog form. Dogs in Chainsaw Man are interesting. Katana Man's grandfather says Denji is obedient, like a dog, and Makima also treats Denji like that, and even makes him behave like one. He even thinks about becoming a dog for her, so he doesn't have to think. Reese also tells Denji he looks like her old dog. Dogs are talked about a lot in Chainsaw Man. The dog is considered humanity's best friend, and Pochita certainly is that whenever he interacts with Denji, ever since they met and he saved his life. They are first connected by Denji, who suggests they save each other. In his dog form, he is also the closest to a devil being a literal tool for a human than anything else we've seen in the story so far. I think this is really interesting regarding their relationship and trust. And then of course, when Denji dies, Pochita brings him back to life to tell him he loved to hear about his dreams. Pochita's dream was to get hugged, but since he was so strong, it was really hard for him. Denji made this dream come true, and he is deeply thankful for that and cares a lot about Denji. In the chapters 85 and 86 we see proof of both of these things. When he enters a restaurant or when he goes and buys ice cream, he more or less instinctively cuts up everything around him that isn't part of what he wants to happen. But what is it what he wants to happen? He wants to eat a burger. He wants to eat a burger because he remembered Denji saying he wants to eat a burger that isn't rotten. That's why Kobeni isn't cut up, she has the burger. There are a few more examples of this. He goes on a date with Kobeni because Denji wanted to go on a date with a girl. He also protects Kobeni from an attack even though he was getting weaker and weaker. He asks Denji to fulfill the dream of the Control Devil too, and Denji should give Nayuta lots of hugs. He makes Denji puke up the Snow and Bitterness Devil, so that he remembers moments from his past. I don't know how the Octopus Devil fits into this, but I am sure that these devils are not erased because he just felt like it. He tried to erase ear and mouth. That are 2/3 of hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil. Also, correction. The new chapter 188 is out and apparently Denji vomits up Yoshida, who is contracted with the Octopus Devil, so maybe that was Bushida's goal because he somehow knew Yoshida would immediately fold and call a truce, so they start to attack the aging devil by reverse fisting Denji, cause his mouth is connected to Chainsaw's mouth. Would that also work butt to butt? My point is, Pochita feels for others and cares for them. But in his strong form, he wasn't able to form these kind of relationships. He kind of learned how to do that in his weak form and with Denji together. Before all of that, maybe the only real way he had to feel connected to people and to show him his soft and cute form, his heart on the inside, was to eat them. In a way, Denji did save Makima like that. He couldn't remove her from the world like the Chainsaw can, but he found a way to end the current Control Devil and create a new one. How? He ate her. But he didn't do it to harm her. He never wanted to harm her. He wanted to become one with her. That's not an attack. It's love. Maybe he subconsciously came up with that idea because Pochita communicated it to him through a dream. When a devil asks a chainsaw devil to save them, the devils that threaten them will be eaten and removed from the cycle of being reborn again and again. If we look at the list again, these erased things Makima lists are mostly things that cost the life of many humans in the past, and Chainsaw Man erased them. It's like he was already planning on creating a world that was nicer for everyone, just like Makima was talking about. But the devils that ask for help get eaten too, and there are things that don't necessarily sound bad. We don't know what the other conclusions to a life could have been, but they could have been peaceful. The sixth main sense was probably pretty useful depending on what it was used for. We don't know what SOA could have been, and there are still other things that are already completely forgotten. Some things weren't threats, but they still got removed. Why? Maybe out of pity. Think about it. Pushita wanted to be close to others, but couldn't. It would make sense if he still tried to do something for them. What do they have to fear if they don't exist? They don't need to do bad things or worry about anything. How can someone hate you or hunt you if they don't even remember your existence? The only one who remembers them is Pushita. If you really love something, let it go. Set it free. For the evil and wicked, being unknown and forgotten is the worst punishment, but for others, disability is mercy. Hello, friendly people of the internet. If you made it this far into the video, thank you. I know online discussions can get a bit heated, so thank you for hearing me out and giving my ideas a chance, even if your ideas and interpretations are different. I'm also sorry that this video is such a mess. It took me way too long to make it, and so much stuff happened while making this in Chainsaw Man and in real life. I started to write a script for this in December and now it's March. I tried my best to keep this video focused on what erasure means, how it might work, and what Pushita's reason for using it might be. But I also tried to make sure I explain to you properly where I'm coming from and how I got to these ideas. I really like the idea that erasing something is ultimately an act of mercy and an attempt to protect others from evil. Erasing something out of love might sound like a contradiction, but characters in Chainsaw Man have some warped perception of affection. This video is already a bit too full with stuff, but something I wanted to talk more about at some point is the idea that hybrids are kind of tied to the idea of love or companionship in a weird way. Like, Pushita revived Denji so he could witness his dreams, and Guangzi was turned into a hybrid by one of her girlfriends, Sugihagi. I think hybrids will play a really big role later in the story, especially since they appear to be rare and Makima kind of collects them, or collected them. She found Denji pretty easily, and while fighting Chainsaw Man, she assembled so many hybrids to fight him. All of these people were either already shown and or show up later. Again, the fact that hybrids are just that hard to get rid of is really good for Reese fans. There are still many things we don't know. There's so much to think about and discover, and you can see how much people learn and change. Not always, but sometimes. The characters are interesting to think about, and I can't wait to read what happens next. Thank you again for listening to my ramblings. I hope I managed to give you some new ideas and thoughts about Chainsaw Man, and if not, I hope this video was at least entertaining to watch. And I hope you have a great day. Goodbye!